Hey guys, welcome to episode 14 of the Road to Dublin Marathon by myself, Coach Declan. So 14 weeks, technically 15 weeks because we had a sort of introduction week. Thank you very much for everybody who's followed along the journey so far, or maybe it's just dipping into it now and we'll start watching some of the things back. We are 2 weeks out from Dublin Marathon. We are into taper. Properly into taper now for these next couple of weeks, and I've probably just completed one of the fastest weeks that I've had so far, one of the hardest weeks as well, in terms of just getting everything squeezed in. And yeah, I think I'm feeling pretty well ready for Dublin Marathon. Hopefully everybody is as well. So this week, week 14, how did we start off? So Monday, Tuesday, rest days. Took the both of them off. In fact, it actually worked out at 3 rest days in a row because I didn't really run on the Sunday either. So it was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday on the rest days, which I haven't really had 3 days in a row since this training block started. It felt really good, and it just shows me really the benefits of a proper taper as we start to wind these miles back down and start to incorporate a bit more rest. Just how better you're going to feel, how much fresher the legs will feel, and mentally you're not going to feel quite as fatigued either. So really good to have those 3 days as well as getting into the main sessions. So this week I had 5 sessions planned out, quite a lot of tempo runs in there, and a bit of speed work too. So let's see how those went. So I started off on Wednesday with my first run of the week, and it was 6 miles at marathon goal pace. Okay. So whenever I first started this plan, the goal was to run a 3:30 marathon. I am still sticking to that goal. I still think mentally that's where I want to be. Physically, I think that's where I'm going to get. I possibly can go faster. On the day, I may push faster, but at the moment, in my head, 3:30 is the goal. I don't want to be getting any aspirations of running any faster and getting that into my head in case I don't hit those times, in case on the day things just sort of maybe don't work out as well as expected, and then the negativity starts to creep in. So 3:30 is the goal, 8-minute mile pace, or just slightly under to allow for any toilet breaks, wide turns. Not that the course is going to measure over because Dublin's usually on, but I always measure over in terms of the GPS. So this run on Wednesday was meant to be a marathon paced run. So I went out at 7:55 pace and I ran 6 miles at 7:55 pace. Pair of old trainers on me too. So to hold that pace very comfortably, the heart rate was very under control, and I finished the 6 miles up, no issues whatsoever. Didn't feel fatigued, didn't feel tired. The rest done me well. The miles feel comfortable. 3:30 is very achievable based on those sort of factors for me. Okay, so no issues with that there. Nice run, nice known route that I've been doing for quite a while. A lot of the times it's good to run a known route, especially whenever we're using our Garmin's for GPS. I would be quite confident this Garmin very accurate, but there are times the GPS just doesn't pick up, and on the 6 mile route there's a couple of dead spots where I know that I'm running, say, 7:55s or 8-minute mile pace, and I'm looking down at the watch and it's showing 10:30s, 11-minute mile pace, but I know the effort that I'm running does not correlate to that type of pacing. So it's usually in between big houses or along trees that these things happen, and this is going to happen on race day. This is going to happen whenever you're running through a city and there's lots of Garmin's or Polars or Apple Watches all vying for GPS at the same time. So knowing the effort of the pace is going to be paramount to keeping myself in control on race day. So having a known route, knowing when the mile markers are at, knowing that it's going to be 6 miles, knowing that I'm going to run it in X amount of minutes, it just sort of keeps you very much in control. And I'm using that word quite a lot today, controlled, because a lot of these runs are controlled efforts. So 6 miles marathon pace, happy with that there, controlled. Run 2 of the week was done on Thursday. So I misread this one ever so slightly, even though I write my own plans. I still sort of misread it, and I thought it said 5 miles easy, 3 miles progression. It actually should have been 6 miles easy, 2 miles at marathon pace. But here, there we go. So I went out and did a stupidly hilly route for the first 5 miles, which was practically all uphill. I think there was 550 feet of elevation over the 5 miles. And considering Dublin's only gets 650 feet of elevation over the whole 26, it's you know, it's a very, very hilly course. So 5 miles done, very easy, nice control, pulling the pace back whenever I hit a difficult hill, keeping the heart rate under control, and just allowing easy to be an effort, not a pace. Then whenever I was into the progression side of things, I did the next run, the next mile at 8 minutes. Next one I think was 7:45, I think it was, and then the last mile was about 7:20 pace. So real good progression there. Now, it definitely helped that those 3 miles were all downhill, or net downhill, but you still have to run it. You still have to get the legs turning over. The end lad run, I did feel a little bit tired at the end of it. Okay, I think pushing those paces were just a wee bit too hard for me. But, you know, it was done. Another 8 miles in the bank. These layers of sort of speed are coming back into the legs, which is really good to see. Real good for the confidence at this point in the block. Which leads me on to the next run. Next run was Friday. So I was meant to do 4 miles easy. So not too difficult to do that there. But there was a lady called Eilish who was doing a charity run. She was running 10k in every county in Ulster over 3 days. So that was 10Ks over the 3 days, doing 3 by 10k every single day. And she was about 10, not even 10, about 7 miles away from me, and I was invited to come along and run the course with her. So I thought it would be a good opportunity, number one, just to get out of the house, run with the people, also support the charity there as well. And I knew from the reading of the post and things, it would be a nice controlled pace for me as well. So I ended up doing 10k that day, a little bit more than anticipated, but well under control, and the easy effort, you know, it was absolutely fine from start to finish. So no issues, uneventful run, and the legs felt very good afterwards. It was quite a flat course, an out and back course, starting at Mahara Leisure Centre, running out towards Swatra, and turning back and coming back on ourselves. It's been a long time since I've actually ran a training run with somebody else. I actually think that's probably the first training run I've ran with somebody else in this whole training block. That's bad. Or you know, I'm maybe an unsociable social runner because I do like the company of other people. But there we go. I think Jack, actually, you know, I know why. I've been selfish. I'm using the word selfish, you know, here, but maybe selfish isn't the best word. But I have my plan. I have my paces. And, you know, every run that I have done has been to my effort or my pace. I think if I had have been running with other people, I could have been sucked into their pace or pulling them back. So yeah, I maybe have been selfish with my runs in terms of you know, not running with other people. So Saturday, the plan on Saturday, it was actually meant to be 6 by 800s. Just getting the legs spinning round, flushing them out, just really just sort of draining the muscles before we start carb loading them up, you know, with nice fresh food and nutrients. So what did I do? I ran 6 by 800s, but I didn't take any rest. I ended up doing the park run. So I went over to Musa Park Run. So instead of doing 6x800s with 60-second rest or recovery, I ended up just doing a 5k fast. And really enjoyed this run. Okay, wasn't too sure what I was going to do. Now the plan was meant to be 6x800 at 6:30 pace. I don't think I would have ever done those paces anyway if I was out training, but it was a lovely crisp autumnal morning. Weather was coldish, but once you got running it was fine. So did about a K of a warm-up, and I thought, you know what, I'm feeling pretty good today. Let's give this a blast, see where we're at. And the blast that I did, I went out at 6:25 pace, and held on for dear life at that there. So I ended up doing a 6:25, then maybe a 6:35, and then finally another 6:25 or thereabouts. I ended up breaking 20 minutes for the 5k. So my average pace was 6:24 overall. Really happy with that. Now I haven't ran a sub 25k since December 2019. I didn't think I would have a sub 20 in me, to be honest. The last couple of 5Ks, I felt like I was pushing a lot harder than what I was on Saturday. And, they were, 20 seconds off that there. So this was really good. It shows that the layers of fitness are there. The endurance is there because it's being done after, 18 miles already ran. Bit of speed work in there, bit of tempo-ish running, to do that there as well, off no rest or recovery. So nice run. Happy with that there, really happy with how that went, and just a good wee confidence booster to sort of finish up. I think I compared it to, I was at this particular park run course because it's nice to be at the same park run courses and test yourself against them, because they are known distances. You know the hills, you know exactly what's going to come at you. So 7 weeks apart, and I managed to take about a minute off my time here. So really happy with that. Which leads me on to Sunday. Sunday's long run, I had planned to do 18 miles. Initially the plan was to do 10 miles slow and easy, and then 8 miles at marathon goal pace. So it's a bit of a sort of not really a tapering run for myself, because it's very close to the longer runs that I have done, which were sort of the 20-mile mark. But what I did, I looked back at the plan and realised, those 2 marathons I'd done, they were actually longer than anticipated, obviously. So I used those as my benchmark to pull my taper, my long run back this week. So it was 18 miles, 10 easy, 8 at marathon pace. And on Sunday, my wife Emma had been away for the day. So I thought, right, I can just do this run on the treadmill, because I'm at home with the kids. I can't really leave them for 2.5 to 3 hours while I go out running. But I jumped on the treadmill, and the first sort of mile, I just realized the head wasn't wanting a treadmill run. The body didn't want it. It didn't feel comfortable. But I thought, right, no, just get your thoughts together, get into this here. But I couldn't get into it, and I ended up stopping at 5 miles. Now it was easy, it was controlled, it wasn't too warm. Just mentally, I wanted to be outside. I didn't want to be inside for this run. I think it's too close to race day to be doing a long run on the treadmill. And the weather was quite nice on Sunday as well. So I ended up, just doing things around the house, getting the shopping in. Was waiting for Emma to come home. And she got home. Everything was grand. Got the dinner on, and away I went out for my run. So effectively what I thought to myself, I've got 13 miles left to run. I don't really want to do the next 5 easy and finish with 8 at marathon. So I made a slight adjustment. I changed the plan up and ended up doing 10 miles tempo with a 3 mile easy recovery. So the 10 miles were done at 7:30 pace. Nice wee course, just a sort of like an out and back course, downhill for the first 5 miles, and then uphill for the next 5. You can see if you watch my Strava that the pace dropping off a bit there. And then the final 3 miles were all uphill, so really good to get it nice and recovery there. So Sunday's runs were 18 miles in total. It turned out at 5 easy, 10 tempo, and 3 easy again. So a nice adaptation, I think, myself personally. Good to get another long tempo in. I know one of the watchers had mentioned about, that I should be adding in a few extra longer tempos. And I think that's what was in my head whenever I started that there as well. That, can I do this longer tempo? Can I get used to this sort of running on really tired and fatigued legs after a 5K, hard and fast the day before? And then, having 5 miles in the legs from that day. Knowing that, there's a good bit of strength in those legs to hold that tempo effort over that pace, over that time as well, over that distance, sorry. Get the words out eventually, so apologies about that. So yeah, last week, total distance ran 42.2 miles. My peak week was about 52 miles as well. So effectively, I've done about 80 miles, 80% of that there, which is where I would like to be, sort of 75 to 80% of my peak miles. Next week, or the week that I'm in now, I'm going to drop that further down. I'm going to bring it down to about 60 to 65% of my peak. Maybe a little bit more than I give the other people, but I tend to run better on volume, I think. Sort of questioning myself just as I say that there after having the 3 days rest and recovery and feeling good, but we'll maybe reduce it down to about 50%. I'm just looking down here. What have I got in the plan? I've got two small tempo runs to do, couple of shorter easy runs, and a 12-mile run. Might drop that 12-mile run down to 10. I don't think there's any real benefit of adding an extra 2 onto it. But you'll hear about that next week, the final week of the taper. So thoughts, how's things been going in this training block? We're 14 weeks in. We have covered July, August, September. We're nearly through into October now, and nearly finished with October. And some of the stats, I use this app or site to analyze my data called Runalyze, which links to Garmin, and it picks up quite a lot of different stats. It picks up my heart rate, the pace, the distance, the efforts, and different things like that there. It's a real good site if you're into your data and your comparison of things, okay? But one of the things that really jumped out for me was the overall progression of pace downwards over the last 4 months. So I wrote these here down. In July, I ran 126 miles. And my average pace there was 9:04. Okay, so the first few weeks were really base building miles, building that first layer of fitness and the first layer of endurance. The next month I ran 161 miles, so this was August. 161 miles in ridiculously hot weather here in Northern Ireland too, but the average pace had come down. It came down to 8:56. So we're seeing improvement. Miles have went up. They've increased by 30% almost. And the pace overall on average has come down. Then we move into September. September was the largest month so far. Well, I expected. I don't expect October to actually peak it. But it was just over 190 miles covered. So again, that's about 30% it's about 25% increase this time. And the average pace here was 8:31. So in September we started introducing a lot of more tempo and speed work into it, and that's evident there as well. But even the longer runs, the paces were coming down very much so, with the effort staying the same. And so far in October we've done 111 miles and the average pace of 8:22, just as we're sharpening everything up. So I mentioned a video a while back about the sort of the analogy of building a car. We've built the engine, we've strengthened the chassis, and now we've tuned the engine as well, okay? Feeling really good, feeling really confident, feeling as fit as I've been in a long time. And that's strange to say that, because I come into this training block probably feeling as unfit as I've ever been. So 2019 was sort of, in my opinion, my peak year of running. I recorded PBs in every distance: 5k, 10k, half and marathon. You know, there was a lot of training done to get that far. And I know we've had all this strange 2.5 years where, well, I know myself, I dropped back into ultras and lots of long, slow, controlled running. So to feel this fit again, it's really good. You know, in this training block, I've recorded a half marathon PB. I'm seconds off a 5k PB. I haven't raced a 10k, but I'll probably race one in December, just to see where I'm at. And even the marathon, you know, down at the marathon at Lisburn, the maze, you know, I ran effectively covered a 26.22 in 3:28, which is my second fastest marathon ever. So I am feeling fit. I feel confident. I'm feeling healthy. No injuries, no illness. Touch wood, it stays like this here. I'm going to maybe wrap myself up in bubble wrap and keep everybody away from me for the next 2 weeks. So yeah, feeling good, guys. I know I keep saying the same thing over. I hope everybody else's training has went as well as they can expect. I hope everybody enjoys their taper over these next 2 weeks. You know, remember the taper tips that I gave, which were, you know, rest as much as possible, stay off your feet if you can, eating good, clean, healthy foods, taking on lots of hydration, and looking at your progression. You know, looking at things like, you know, Runalyze or Strava or Garmin, and seeing how much you've improved. Compare yourself to where you were at 3 months ago, and look at all those runs that you've done, all those big miles, the tempo miles, the intervals, and how they're going to feed into you turning up on the start line of your race or your event, feeling as good as you possibly can. Guys, look, I'll wrap that up there now. I think this is the longest I've talked for quite a while. Probably repeated myself quite a lot too, just whenever I think about it. So I say I'll wrap it up. Thank you very much for everybody who's watching, everybody who's followed us so far. I say us, me, followed the journey so far of the road to Dublin. I hopefully see a lot of you on the course. If you recognise me, please do come and say hello, give me a shout of encouragement. And you know, guys, if you have any questions or queries with regards to your own training, you know, ask below or drop me a message, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. All right, guys, all the very best. Bye-bye.